What do you?
Hi, Melissa.
Stop.
Remember me?
I looked at you and went,
I was like, oh, it's great. That was great.
oh well. Yeah, we're only just a couple years away from me writing that song in this.
So that's what's great is because we're showing your timeline of this, all the concerts, and
Yes.
now, okay, so
Yeah, and
here we
everything's
go.
just gonna go like this.
So if I remember right, last we left you,
Last you left me, I was in
left
Kansas City.
because you had left Boston, you came back
Got
home.
to Kansas City, and I
Gotten
worked at the La Veranda Lounge.
Yes, you did.
In Kansas City.
Yes.
And I worked and made enough money, and I bought a car.
You bought a car.
Yeah.
And your parents, at this point, had it was around your birthday.
Yeah, it
and
was
they
the
had
end of May.
Right, and you were...
I quit my job at La Veranda because L.A. was where I was going to go
Right.
and
And
become big star.
This was spring, May
Yeah,
of
spring of 1982.
1982.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was just turning 21,
Right?
and I hopped in my new car.
And where did you buy your car?
The Ford place. What was the name of the Ford place? You know how every
Was it a
little town-
family name? Like
Oh yeah,
we
it was
always
like
said, yeah.
something Ford.
Yeah, yeah.
And my daddy, I still call him Daddy.
Aw.
My daddy hated it. He didn't hate it. He said, you can't buy a Ford. So I bought a Lincoln Mercury, but I didn't know that Lincoln Mercury was just a fancy Ford. I didn't know that about cars. So I bought a Lincoln Mercury. He's like,
And the fact it was what...
he didn't like Ford because of like labor, years
Yeah.
ago when he was a
Yeah.
kid. He was all, because Ford was bad to the union and all that stuff. So he was
Yeah.
like, he would only buy, that's when they,
And as a teacher and part of a union, that was...
it was a big deal. So I thought, I'll buy a Lincoln Mercury.
And not only that, what color was it?
It was yellow. Why did I buy a yellow car? Why? Why? And it was a weird car. Here, I'll show it to you. I've actually got photos of it. Oh. All right, so here we go.
Okay, so wait, are we doing music under this or no?
You know what? I keep the music. It just
No, it's okay because it's so fascinating.
Because at the end, I'll show a little
we have
thing with
we have
some music.
We're gonna the world premiere of a song, isn't
It's
it?
the world premiere of
another-
a song that I wrote.
Okay, look at this.
During this time.
I love
so,
it. Okay,
Here I
no.
am once again, Melissa Etheridge. But now I don't live in Kansas City anymore.
And you hadn't.
I moved to my look, and so I just
And so you put
wrote
your-
my
is that your
aunt's.
aunt's
That's my aunt's
phone?
number, because what I did
Come on.
was I drove out and I asked my aunt if I could stay
On her couch?
on her couch
Yeah.
in her house. She had a little house in Silver Lake, and she was Aunt Sue. My Uncle Carl, he didn't live there yet. He eventually moved in.
Yeah.
After I left, but Uncle Carl was this is my father's brother and sister,
Yeah.
and
Silver Lake it kisses Hollywood. I mean,
oh yeah,
people
it's like
no, it's
like
right
at
next
it's
to.
at the eastern end of Sunset Boulevard actually,
Yeah.
and you go down. I used to drive down there all the time. I just drive Sunset Boulevard all the way and drive back, just saying someday. And so I drove out there. It took me 4 days to drive out there
From Leavenworth.
from Leavenworth.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, there's the yellow LN7.
Wow.
They made it for 2 years.
Yeah.
They were such a bad car. They were so,
Oh my God.
it was the first time everything in it
Yeah.
was hooked up to this one electrical thing in the car. Everything ran off of this one thing.
But but you put gas in it.
Yeah, it was a
wasn't
gas
electric-
car.
Yeah, right.
But all how the car ran was all hooked up to this one thing. And I was driving on the 405. Yeah, I was driving, or the 101 something. Anyway, I'm all LA on you.
Yeah.
And my car just died in the middle of the road because it was that little thing. Just
the battery just went bing.
wasn't the battery. It was just this thing just killed everything. Yeah. And my car was in the middle of the road, and it almost
On
like,
the 405?
It was bad. And I ran across the freeway, and this is like midnight.
You did everything you're not supposed to do.
I know. Thank goodness. My car's in the middle of the road. I was going to get, so I ran, and got one of those call boxes back then.
No.
Yeah. Haven't I ever told you about this?
Not in the middle. Wait, you were of a multi-lane highway?
Yes.
Oh
It was
my
like
God.
midnight. It was after work.
That's scary.
And I called him, my car's in the middle of the road. Someone's going to get hurt.
And they said,
all of a
okay,
sudden-
don't leave your car. And he's like, how did I call you? Hey, leave the car. So you ran back in?
I ran back in, and then a police officer came, and he pushed my car off.
He stayed in the car, and he said,
Yeah.
stay in
He's
your
like,
car.
yeah.
Put it in neutral,
Yeah.
whatever.
No,
Yeah.
he
Put
did it
in
with
drive.
I was on the side. I wasn't going to.
Oh, good.
I couldn't get back. No, I wasn't going to run back across
I'm
the freeway.
horrified.
I know. So anyway, not such a good car, the LN7.
No.
No, not such a good car.
And how cute that you cut off your head. You just show this.
Oh, here, watch.
Oh, wait.
There's the rest of
There
it.
you are. How cute are you?
Sort of.
Oh, my God. You guys, take a look at that. Okay. I'm going to Hollywood.
Hollywood. But look, if you look in the car,
Yes.
that right there is,
Yeah. A person.
well, that's me in the car.
Oh.
But
This is another picture. I thought you kidnapped somebody about.
no.
I don't know what's happening. Okay, but that's
No,
that's you
that's
next
me.
to
But
your.
see, that's one of my speakers. The reason I bought the LN7 is it had no back seats.
Right, like it was a hatchback.
Yeah,
Sort of,
but
right?
absolutely no back seats. None whatsoever. It was just
That's
two.
such a loaded thing.
I,
So there's no back seat.
there's no back seat. It
Right.
just it was so I could fit. The reason so it's a small car because I didn't want to
Right.
buy a truck at that time.
Oh,
Trucks
because you had
weren't
to
so
move
cool.
all your stuff.
I had to move. I had like 3 guitars.
Right.
I had my luggage, and then I had my sound system, which is that's one of the speakers for my
Wait,
sound
that's what you would
system.
take to the bars.
Every day. Those speakers lived in my car. I would unless I was going to the gig, I would never take them out, and they never got stolen. I don't know why.
So this is the first. These are all your belongings. Everything you brought to LA the very first time you
Yeah.
got here. Boy, things changed.
Well, that's back when everything I owned I could fit in my car.
Look at
Remember
that.
when everything I owned? Yeah.
Okay, so you take the trip that was then kind of immortalized, maybe in a.
Oh, yeah. Because the trip that I took from Leavenworth, I left. Was by myself. I remember the music I had. I had Tom Petty. Wow.
An
I would
eight-track?
play. No, actually, this was cassette
Cassette.
because this had a cassette player in it. Came with a cassette player.
Fancy.
Very.
Fancy.
And so, or maybe, it doesn't matter. So it was a cassette. I had a Stevie Nicks, Belladonna. I listened to that over, the Edge of 17. Do you remember Quarter Flash?
Oh,
I'm
my
going to
God.
harden my heart. I had that.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Quarter Flash.
Quarter Flash.
You might have to do that song. Okay, so you had.
So and so I had the same cassettes I'd play over and over and over and over, and then I had this box of funny granola bars that were really just fancy candy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I lived on those.
Oh,
And I drove the first night. I actually stayed with friends in Oklahoma City.
so if you get out your map and want to see, so
Yeah, because
that's
at Leavenworth, and I drove like through the state of Kansas. Took like back roads, like and Highway 60. 66. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Route
went-
66?
Route 66. Yeah, I did some of that. It's really cool. But in Oklahoma City, I stayed with some. They were actually friends from YOC. It's the whole family. I knew the whole family, and so they
Yeah.
said, "Oh, Missy, why are you going to California? Why are you going to L.A.? California's just full of fruits and nuts." And I was like, "That's why I'm going to California."
So I moved to Beverly.
so then I drove from Oklahoma City
Right.
to Amarillo.
That took another day.
That took another day.
So
in
that's
Texas.
all the way. So you're heading south.
Boom, boom.
Right.
Then I drove. I stayed all night in Amarillo at like Motel 6 or something.
That's a lyric.
Right. Well, I did. And then I drove to Albuquerque.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember arriving in Albuquerque when the sun was going down.
All the granola all over.
Albuquerque.
Yeah.
No, yes.
Yeah.
And summertime, like this was May.
Yeah.
That time in the Southwest is just gorgeous, and you get this crazy sunset. And my heart I remember thinking, I'm doing it. I'm going. I'm leaving everything that I've done. I'm leaving everything, all the mistakes I made, everything. It's a brand new, clean slate. And so when I got to Albuquerque, I remember I had dinner in the hotel restaurant, and I was looking for like, the gay. Here, I can pull this down. I was looking for like the gay waiter,
Right.
because I wanted to know if there was a, nightclub. It was like a Friday night or
So
something.
brave.
I don't know,
No, that's awesome. Go on.
And so I remember asking her. I said, I'm driving here from out of town, and I'm looking for, wink, wink, nudge, nudge,
I'm looking
place maybe where people hang out. He's like, oh, and he sends me to this straight bar, this straight club, right? It's big, huge straight called the Bear or something. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I ended up and I walk in
There's
and I'm
so
like,
many
oh,
thoughts
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God,
Yeah.
and so I go up to the bar, and I'm sitting there, and I have a drink, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And eventually, I don't know how, I say something to some, me and bartenders, I love bartenders.
Yeah.
And there's a female bartender.
Named Dawn?
I don't, well, not yet. That was the next place I went
Oh.
to. And I say, I'm kind of maybe looking for a different bar. And this woman comes over, she goes, oh, I know where you're looking. And she writes down on a napkin, you want to take highway, whatever, you want to get off, and you'll see there's a building, and it's got a blue light over the door, And it didn't have any name on it, because back then you didn't
no.
put your names on the outside of lesbian bars or anything. And she sent me to it was, oh God, why can't I remember the name of it? It just went right out of my head.
Oh my God.
Oh, but it was this,
In Albuquerque.
In Albuquerque, yeah. And so I go into that bar, and I'm like, yes, it's a fee. And I ended up talking to the bartender all night, and her name was Dawn. So
Oh, that's where Dawn
yeah.
was. Was Quarterflash playing? No. But how great that you.
But it was really fun. And then I came
Was that
back.
your 21st? Because
That was my 21st. Yeah, I was finally legal. I'm like, I can go to any bar now. I'm 21. Look. And later, when we went back through, when I booked my own thing, I actually did a show in that bar and talked
did
about
not.
that. Yeah, and that's where All the Way to Heaven is. That whole I want to find me a bar with a blue light on and dollar shot specials. A bartender named Dawn. So
Okay.
yeah, that's where that whole thing, because it really, a blue light over the doors is really, yeah.
Is
That's
that why you
where
like
came
all the
from.
blue that we have here?
I love blue
I do
lights.
too.
All
I
right,
love
so-
that story.
Yeah, so I drive on out to L.A.